Do you want to maintain a healthy heart as you get older? Well, what's one thing, just one thing that you can do? Move.
Hey everyone, this is Aaron and Juwan, and you're listening to Wellness for Real People. This show is for people who are on the go, busy, and looking for ways to live their best lives. We focus on wellness topics in mindfulness, exercise, diet, and sleep, and share quick, actionable tactics to improve your health and wellness. We're not perfect, but we're trying to get a little better each day. Let's grow on this journey together.
Today, we're talking about an article from UC Health titled Want to Maintain a Healthy Heart? Be Sure to Exercise. So, we're talking all things cardiovascular health and exercise, what to do, what not to do, some great tips and advice from a cardiologist, and really looking forward to diving into this topic with you today. My name is Juwan, here with my co host Aaron, and we're back for another episode of Wellness for Real People. Aaron, before we get into the specifics, what are some of the big takeaways that you have from this article?
Yeah, the biggest one for me was the statement that they made early on around any physical activity is better than none. We're going to talk about some of those tips in the article that it provides, but the important thing is finding an activity that's enjoyable. And it doesn't have to be just this set prescription of, hitting the gym every day or anything like that. There are many, many different ways. But the article talks about getting at least 30 minutes of activity daily is recommended, or at least 5 days a week is recommended, as long as you're not injured and you have clarity from your physician to do so. That is really important in terms of like staying active and taking care of your heart, and it can be a lot of things. So I thought it was cool that it aligns very well with what we talk about on this show of like doing whatever you can to get that movement, and it doesn't have to be like some crazy program or anything like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that simple advice of, yeah, 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week at a minimum. Just to keep in mind, as we get through our busy days and lives, just make that a priority, mark it on the calendar, whatever we have to do to protect that. And, it's not a lot, but it goes a long way. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Patrick Green, who is a cardiologist, he said, regular physical activity and increased levels of physical fitness are associated with lower rates of many chronic diseases, including cardiovascular disease. The article goes on to say that this is mediated by favorable effects on cardiovascular risk factors such as high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, the prevention of diabetes, and to help maintain a healthy body weight. So, going back to this idea of like exactly how much exercise does the normal adult heart need, um, he recommends, as we talked about, 30 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise at least 5 days a week for a total of about 150 minutes. And he doesn't necessarily recommend one exercise over another. It's more about what you can stick to. That's the most important exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's swimming, hiking, walking, gardening, doing a class, an aerobic class, so many different things that you can do. Playing a sport, getting involved in a rec league. There's so many things that we can do to just stay active. So whatever you can do to be consistent is the most important thing that he mentions, and also this idea of like mixing it up. I thought that was really important too. That trying a variety of activities or incorporating a variety of active activities into your life so that it doesn't become routine and stale, and you get tired of it, but you have some variety and you're challenging your body and getting your blood pumping in multiple ways. I thought was really sound advice as well.
Yeah, and I think this other piece around it's never too early or too late to start exercising. I always like think about it myself in terms of like like, oh, I don't know if I want to pick up a new hobby or learn something new, or maybe I'm too old to go out and like play basketball now. And it's like it's definitely not the case. Like as long as you're physically able, there's versions of all these things that you can do and enjoy. And so it's something I took away as well. And this first piece was just challenging myself to just say, hey, it's not too late for me, or to start doing something, or it's not too late to start something new or try something different. It's like I'm getting older, but it doesn't mean I'm not able. So I'm like luckily and fortunate enough to be able to still move. So definitely want to keep that in mind to just take advantage of that and try some new things.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, on a personal level, one of the new things I picked up last year was golf. People, my friends, you've been doing it for a long time, and a lot of folks that I know have been into it for a long time. And I've been going, I don't know if I want to know if I should. I don't know if that's right for me. I don't know if I'll ever be any good at it. And then I like actually started doing it last year, and now I'm like in love with it. And it's like one of my favorite
Mhm.
activities to do, to get outside, be active. I'm not good at it at all, but I'm learning. To your point around, just it's never too late, to try to pick up a new skill, a new sport, or a new activity, learn something new, make new friends, be more social and active. I think are all positive things. The most important thing that we talk about, or that the article talks about, is that it's important to, when you're starting out with something new, to begin slowly, right? Start
Yep.
with low intensity and build gradually over time. So this way, you ease your body into it, and you don't run the risk of injuring or harming yourself, with this new activity.
Yeah, and then the article does talk about a couple things that we'll let you guys read in terms of like, is exercise too much, or is it, they got some other things about like running and things like that around high performance, high endurance. So I'm not going to get into those, but I want to jump down into the discussion, Juwan, around some tips for exercise success. This one was really important for me. The first one around, if you've been sedentary for a long time, overweight, have high risk of coronary disease or other chronic health problems, you'd see a doctor before you start a physical activity program. In the past, I've done things like where I'm like, I haven't worked out for a really long time and then just jumped into like a new fitness program. And some of them were just too intense for where my body was at the time. And what that did was, not only did I, have a little bit of an injury on my knee, but then also I wasn't able to stick with it. Like I was burnt out immediately. Like I just jumped into this crazy intense program and I wasn't ready for it because I'd been sedentary for a while. I think it was around COVID time where I was just spending a lot of time sitting and watching TV or I don't even know what I was doing back then, whatever there was to do at that point in time, but it wasn't a lot of movement or getting out and about. And so, yeah, I think that was really big for me, is just like, as someone that's like trying to get back in shape, trying to get things together, is really being mindful of trying to work your way into it and not overdoing it. And then also working with like professionals to kind of get you on the right track instead of just like trying to do it all yourself. There's people out here that are, fitness professionals, dietitians, your provider, your general provider can help you get back on track. It's something I've learned, and as I've grown to try to get like that health team around me to figure it out, because when I try to do it myself, sometimes I just overdo it or, jump into the wrong things. But yeah.
Great advice, great tips, great story about your own personal, journey. I think it's really, really powerful, really important. Another piece in this exercise tips for success that you mentioned that I wanted to call out was this idea, like, wear comfortable, properly fitted footwear and clothing, appropriate for the weather and the activity. I'm gonna zoom in on that comfortable footwear piece. I think that's huge. It's something we like kind of overlook quite often. But if your shoes aren't comfortable, right, it's going to be very, very hard to stay active, right?
Yes.
It goes back to this idea of like just making it a more enjoyable experience. You're not wrecking your feet and your knees and your ankles and all these things that prevent you from being able to be consistent with the activity. And
Mm-hmm.
so everybody's a little bit different, but it's taken me a while to kind of find my footing, if you will, pun intended, around that, and find the right type of footwear for me. But it's made a tremendous difference in that, from going from like not wanting to be out and active and walking and doing so much because it hurt my feet and knees so much, to I got the right stuff, and now I love walking. Go and walk every day, and so it can make a huge difference, for
Yeah,
sure.
agreed. Like I definitely prescribe to that now, and I followed your example on which shoes to go after. And so now I feel like but part of my job, I'm on my feet a lot, and it's made such a world of difference. Because before, I was like, yeah, I had these really nice, cool looking dress shoes and all that stuff, and coming back with corns and like blisters and all kind of bad stuff. And so switching that up, they might not look as cool, but I'm so much more happier with the outcome. And like you said too, I feel like I don't have as much pain when I'm on my feet all day or walking or anything like that. It's so important, man.
Yeah, I'm out of that stage, man. I'm out of the coolest looking shoes stage. All right, I can have that. The young kids, folks can have that. Older folks, whatever you want. Anybody can have that. Everybody can have that. I'm going for comfort,
Yes.
over everything
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things have changed, man. Things have changed.
Yeah. I thought this one another bullet I want to call out was this idea of like surround yourself with supportive people. And I think that's really, really powerful. Ultimately, it's on you, every individual, to have your own kind of drive and motivation to to get going, to keep going, and try to stay on track, to understand your goals, make progress on your goals. But having a supportive community can make a big difference, right? And so, this idea of finding opportunities to make it more social, I think, can be really, really powerful. Because sometimes, for myself, like I may let myself down, but I really don't want to let other people down, right? So if I commit to an activity with somebody or with a friend, I'm going to do my very, very best to make sure that I, show up for that. And I always end up enjoying it. I get to do two birds with one stone, get to catch up with a good friend and hang out and spend some quality time, but also do something active in the process. So I really like that
Yeah.
point as well.
Yeah, and then just the last one on this section, just keeping a record of your activities is so important because sometimes you don't realize the progress that's happening. So for like me personally, since the beginning of the year, I'm down about 11 pounds. And that's just from these
Awesome.
little things we've been talking about, right? Just little things, little changes and tweaks. Like I'm sure I could have lost more if I really pushed myself, but it's like I didn't even realize it was happening until I went to my doctor a couple weeks ago and like, hey, you're making some progress here. I'm like, okay, this is great because it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to overdo it, but it also when you see those moments, it just motivates you more to keep going. So that's kind of where I'm at on that last bullet.
Absolutely, man. Congrats. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The next section here, I wanted to quickly go over and list off some of these things. I thought it was really, really interesting. A little bit counterintuitive. This idea of like adding physical activity to your daily life, right? So sometimes we think of it as like, oh, I gotta have a specific workout regimen in a class that I'm following, or a structure in a curriculum, and all those kind of things. But also, in addition to that, how can we find ways to just being more physical or being more active a part of our everyday life, right? Whether you have a scheduled workout or not. And some things that they brought up, some ideas were, do housework instead of hiring someone else to do it. Work in the garden or mow the grass. Riding more doesn't count, right? Rake leaves, prune, dig up trash. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not doing that. That's not something I like. I hate. I absolutely hate yard work. So everybody's you got to find your own rhythm, right? But these are a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of tips that I do think take some of them with a grain of salt and do what works for you, and discard the
Yeah.
rest. But another idea was go for a short walk before breakfast or after dinner or both, right? Just start with 5 to 10 minutes and kind of work your way up from there. One thing I love to do is when I can is, yeah, after a meal with my wife, go for a walk, right? Go and it just gives us more time to just catch up and talk about what's going on in our world, and reconnect a little bit. So I get to be active and invest in that important relationship.
Yeah.
Another idea is walk or bike to the corner store instead of driving, or walk up the stairs right when you go to a place, rather than taking the elevator. Stand up while you're talking on the telephone.
Or doing a Zoom
Walk the
call
dog.
if you can, if
If
you
you
have a
can.
standing situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Park further away from the shopping mall or the store, so you get some extra steps in. Um, you know, uh, and keep your exercise equipment repaired and an easy to use space. So I thought those are some really practical tips from just kind of just making your everyday life a little bit more active. And those, like you said, those little tweaks can make a big difference over time.
Yeah. And then the article goes in to add some more options for if you're at the office. And a lot of this is kind of similar to things that you mentioned, Juwan, around like, taking the stairs and things like that. Talks about adding exercise to play. So that might be like, doing things with family or friends, like going out and enjoying physical activities together, like, going to play basketball or maybe taking a dancing class or golf, like, sometimes we do. So just adding exercise instead of saying, hey, let's go, I don't know, watch a movie, or let's go out and do something physical instead. Let's do a walk, or let's, do a 5K or whatever that looks like. So I thought that was good. The article then goes on to kind of summarize things about what to do when adding activity to your daily life. And we've covered some of these already. One of the things that I liked and something I really, really want to work on going forward is exercising at the same time of day. Like you said, you take your evening walks. That way it becomes a habit. And so like with my schedule, I need to make time for that because I found that things can get off track when you don't have a set time and set schedule and carve out that time to do these things. Sometimes it might be super early in the morning or like you said in the afternoon, but Trying to do stuff just randomly throughout the day and just say maybe I'll squeeze in a workout here or there or some activity typically doesn't work, for me at least. And I don't know if a lot of people have had success with that. So I thought that was one thing I definitely want to take away, and something I need to work on is doing things at the same time of day to establish better habits.
Yeah, that's a great tip. One of the ones that jumped out for me in this section was this idea of join an exercise group or a health club or a recreation league, right? And I think that's something that I want to do this year. Because it's like it's like we mentioned, get to kill two birds with one stone. One, you get to be social and be around other people. Hopefully, people you enjoy being around. But then two, it's centered around some sort of physical activity, and it's pre-scheduled, right? So that
Yep.
consistently, okay, during this time of week, because every week, for this amount of time, I'm gonna do this activity. So I think it checks a lot of these boxes of the things that we've been talking about in this article so far, and something that I want to commit to doing just once a week, just one time
Yeah.
a week. Like I
And
have
that's
friends
it.
who are
That's
in
all
like
you need.
softball leagues, or
Yeah.
friends who are in a basketball league, or golf leagues, or whatever, what have you. But I want to sign up for something just to have that extra event on the calendar to look forward to on a weekly basis.
I like that. That's nice. All right. And then lastly, we'll close it out. We'll each do one. What not to do when adding activity to your daily life. I think this one is big for me, the first bullet, because I do have like the discouragement if I stop for a while. And it says, don't get discouraged, basically, in this sense, because what I do is like beat myself up or a little bit too hard on myself, and then I don't do anything. It says, get started again, and then gradually work your way back up to your old place. It's something I need to take to heart, because it's like getting my head about things and like, oh man, I like fell off or whatever I want to call it. And like, then I don't do anything. And so just really trying to keep that positivity and not getting discouraged and just get back at it and work at it slowly, not go overboard.
Absolutely. The old tortoise and the hare kind of, in a story or
Almost
fable.
perfect. Works.
Um, it's powerful and it's important, and that's what we're all about on this show. And those long-term sustainable changes. So we're not going to get there overnight, but we are going to get there, and we're going to stay there because we're doing it, trying to do it in a sustainable way. So I appreciate you bringing that tip up. Just a note of caution here. On terms of things not to do, it says, when you're engaging in any physical activity, if it causes you chest pain, shortness of breath, dizziness, lightheadedness, if any of these things happen, stop what you're doing right away, right?
Mhm.
And don't push it. Don't try to push through it. Definitely listen to your body. Don't overdo it, and if necessary, consult with your healthcare team and provider, so that we can hopefully try to prevent any major issues from happening. Because that's the last thing we want to do, is push it too hard and end up harming ourselves. So I thought this was a great article. A lot of practical tips in it. We will certainly link to it in the show notes. I certainly learned several things from it, and definitely have one takeaway from this article that I want to implement moving forward. So I certainly hope, if you're watching this or listening to this, that this was helpful for you as well. So we'll close it out here. We'll be back soon with another episode of Wellness for Real People. In the meantime, take care.
Thanks, everyone.